Anyway, here, so I'm here in fact to talk about finally something a little bit, let's say, not different from the subject which is yours, which is about actually the place of the cultural in former industrial site. But to talk as well about something which I think is rather important, which is how somewhere those programs of culture can also be kind of quite strategic about setting up a neighborhood and setting up new neighborhoods, new attractive neighborhoods, which somewhere are also interesting in those sites. It's also a way to sometimes balance certain items, like for example the way to finance certain programs, because of course when you have a mixed-use program in the neighborhood, you have as well some private people who can kind of invest as well in the place, and generally, cities can also kind of balance quite a lot their neighborhood. So first of all, I will start perhaps with somewhere where my office is, which is in Amsterdam. And in fact, my office is in this building, which is a former industrial building. And it's just to say that actually those cultural places are not sometimes always extremely important and as fabulous places we just saw. They could be just a place where they call in Holland Kunstwerk, and they are places where you can have ateliers for architect, designer, artists, but as well people who still carry on working with steel, with kind of higher material, because we are in a former industrial place. And this creates within the neighborhood, which is the neighborhood of Borneo-Sporenburg and Kanesem-Laan, which are former industrial highlands, which have been transformed into neighborhoods, different neighborhoods, as islands, and that's a project from Wes Art, which is a landscaper urbanist in Holland. And somewhere it's also interesting to see our out of port industry area, you can actually come to a very important, interesting neighborhood. And within this neighborhood as well, of course, you have the role of the culture, which is quite important. But it's also the occasion, for example, to explore another important program, I think, which is, for example, about housing. How to somewhere combine in those neighborhoods certain different way of living, to attract different people as well, to suddenly create by just living in a place, by the housing, by different type, by contemporary housing, which are working as well with the industriality of the site. You can suddenly make a very attractive and specific place as well, which is contrasting, of course, with the historical, much more historical neighborhood. So this is one of the, I would say, possibility. It's a residential, mainly residential area, but it have this poetic, if I can say, of the industriality. And another strategy that could be also used, and which is used as well, a little bit further along the river of the Ey, and still in Amsterdam, in a place which is called NDSM, which is on the north. No, I don't have anything there. Just on the part of the north, which is really still really industries, and it's a neighborhood which will move, which will become a new neighborhood. And what is interesting is to see how, in a way, very strategically, you can start to implant there some programs which maybe will be temporary, but maybe will stay. And programs as well which attract people. So it's on the other side of the Amsterdam center. You can go there by boat. And then progressively you have programs which are kind of like main big bars or cafe, contemporary done, of course, into those large industrial spaces. But you have as well some temporary but quite special student housing, because it's also something that there is in Europe, and which actually is one of the interesting points at the moment in Holland, and a lot of Europeans are looking for it, is that there's a lack of housing for students, and students are a real potential of people to be in a place, to invade a place, to invest a place, and to somewhere start the life, because that's actually what we're talking about. Start the real life, start to make those places, those industrial areas alive. You can have as well, this is a refurbishment of an ancient, how do you call this in English, a boat, a bridge for the boat, to repair the boat. And they build on the top. They did one of the very important, it's a building which got a prize. They turned it into quite trendy offices. So that's also attract, next to the students, there is these people who are more the UP people of Amsterdam, but which bring as well a certain other dynamic to this area. And a bit further, in a big hangar, just also some ateliers that are there that artists can also have in the same time, places to live that they are very cheap, they build up in hangar, and as well they can have outside really quite large space to build up, to enjoy, to create actually some outside space of art. And all of that is done in a way with, I would say, almost zero money. Yes, it's just about thinking strategic about how the place can start. And we can see again how actually the role then of culture can be used in a very different way and very strategic. So I will go to a few projects or few subjects in France where I've been doing some studies. Just one thing is that in France, most of the time when you have very large reconversion project and specifically large former industrial sites, there is or competition or studies which are given to 3 offices, and they study in parallel to find out actually which give the. So what I'm going to show is more our studies. Some of them win, but not all. So first of all, Boulogne-Billancourt. So that's in a bit south of Paris. And they are is the site where actually the factories of the car, the factories of the Renault car were actually done. At a certain point, those factories were totally obsolete. They were not in use anymore. They decided to move, and in fact, suddenly there was a kind of 52 hectare, which is this big trapeze that you can see, plus the island, which were a kind of fabulous site, fabulous potential by the river on south of Paris, but still also a bit far. And in a neighborhood which, as you could see, with the different towers and different buildings from the 60s, were not at all well perceived by the different population. But nevertheless, Renault was the owner and wanted first to sell it as owner of the land. And he contacted kind of three big companies, big developers in France, and he sell all the land and start some studies himself. And then the city, and that's important because role of cities are also very important in the direction that those sites are developed. And the city actually objects in a development which was mono-orientated to housing, only housing, because they were promotion, and convince Renault to form a real team to develop a mixed-use neighborhood with activities, with shops, of course, with housing as well, and also with some lots equipments. And they start the studies in which I did participate.